Okay, listen, pay attention. Have you ever wondered why they said the world is a small place, but yet you haven't seen Dangote's daughter? Have you ever wondered why the world is small, but yet since we were born, you haven't seen the daughters of your president and the daughters of all the rich people in your community or society? Have you ever wondered why? Now, the reason is simple. Society was structured for it to be that way. Society was structured. You see, when they talk about urban planning, what do you think urban planning is all about? Why do you think they come to a certain place and destroy some people's properties? Why? Now listen, society was structured this way. You have the higher upper class, you have the upper class, you have the upper middle class, you have the middle class, you have the lower middle class, you have the poor, and you have the destitute. Now, when you talk about the higher upper class, you are talking about the opus mundus, the superstructures, those who have power, because there is difference between power, wealth, rich, and having money. Power is the zenith, the apex level of influence. Okay, now when you talk about your leaders, the presidents of the world, those who are highly influential, they are the higher upper class. There's a place designed for them to live. That is why after being the president of America, you are not allowed to drive yourself on any public road, because you are a member of the higher upper class. There's a place designed for you to live. Okay, now the poor can never see you. They can only see the poor when they want to see the poor, but the poor cannot decide to see them, because where it's designed for them to stay, the poor will never be there all throughout the poor's life. Now, after the higher upper class, you have the upper class. The upper class are the business tycoons, the Dangotes, those who run the economy of the country. Those certain number of people, there's a place designed for them to stay. That place, the poor can never go there. That is why you say you have never seen Dangote's daughter all your life, but they say the world is small. It is structured for it to be that way. The poor cannot be there. Now, the higher upper class can determine the fate of the upper class. That is why when Ibeto wanted to compete with Dangote in cement importation, it takes those in the higher upper class, those with power, to stop Ibeto by just imposing taxation on him and for him to drop his importation and exportation. Okay, now you go down to another level, which is called the upper middle class. When we talk about the upper middle class, we talk about your celebrities. I don't want to call their name, but your celebrities, whom I reserve as mediocrity, they are the ones, okay, that are in the upper middle class. But most times, those in the higher upper class don't show themselves. Those in the upper class don't show themselves. The people who show themselves more often are those in the upper middle class. They show off their cars, they show off their chains, they show off their gold. That is why if the politician, those who control power, should show you their wealth, you will wow, you'll be mesmerized. But they don't show themselves. So the people who show themselves are those in the higher middle class, your celebrities. Okay, your celebrities, you don't usually see them. Society is structured for them to be in a certain place. Okay, that's why once in a while you see them and you shout and touch their clothes. You say, wow, I've seen a celebrity. Okay, the poor is not designed to see them. And then you have the middle class. The middle class are the civil servants, those who are eating crumbs from the table of the superstructure, those in the higher upper class. So the middle class are the civil servants, those who the government are paying, those who are still, depending on 50,000, 80,000 a month. Okay, those who can afford to live in a sophisticated building. Okay, and then you have the middle class now. Okay, this middle class, there are people who can afford 80,000 naira house rent, 150,000 naira house rent. Okay, you see them in your street, you have them, you say, oh, this man, he has money. Okay, you can see those that are called the middle class. You can see them. Okay, they are not usually sophisticated, but they are well to do. And then you have the poor class. Those in poor class are those who find it difficult to live. Okay, they are those who fall under the category of minimum wage. 30,000, 40,000, they can afford 3 square meals, but they cannot afford to have a car. Okay, and then you have the destitute, those who eat from hand to mouth, those who find it difficult to even eat. Okay, that is how society was structured. Society was structured to be that way, so that the child of the poor cannot see the child of the super higher class, cannot see the child of the middle class, cannot see the child of the upper class. It was designed to be like that. That is why your environment, to a large extent, determines how you can achieve. If your environment happens to be in the environment of the poor or the destitute, no matter how intelligent you try to be, there's a certain kind of enlightenment and exposure you cannot attain. Do you understand? So society was structured. That is why you can never see Dangote's daughter. You can never see Tinubu's daughter. You can't see their daughter, except you happen to be in that class, except fate takes you to that environment that was designed for them to stay. This is how they designed it. This is how it is. Let me give you an historical perspective towards it. During the Yoruba pre-colonial days, the head of the Yoruba pre-colonial days army was called the Alaafin. The Alaafin was so powerful, but yet the Alaafin was not allowed to go to the capital. The Alaafin is not allowed to be exposed to wealth. He only goes to war, and when he loses a war, they send him into exile. They don't want him to come to capital so that he will not see the beauty of life and leave the quest for war. Okay, they don't want that. Now bring it to Nigeria perspective. Recent time, do you know how Avengers started? The Niger Delta Avengers, the federal government has always been setting boys in Niger Delta area, but when Niger Delta boys came to Abuja and saw the beauty of Abuja, and they were like, so Nigeria is as beautiful and sophisticated as this. That is to say, our money, our wealth, oil is what they use in building Abuja. Whoa! Now they went home and became and did the Niger Delta Avenger. Now they don't want the poor to see a certain kind of sophistication, a certain kind of glamour, a certain kind of wealth or beautification, because if the poor is exposed to some certain kind of enlightenment, there's every tendency that the poor is going to revolt. It's going to revolt. So the society was structured to handicap you. It was structured to keep you in a certain place. That is why when those who have been to that higher class come down to the poor environment, start telling the poor there is something you are missing, the poor will not agree there's something that is missing, because a man do not miss what he does not know. That is why at the end of the day, they are going to love their oppressor and hate all those who try to free them. Africa, you need to move. Nigerians, you need to be enlightened. You need to move out of that environment. Don't be caged. So the world is big, but yet you never see Dangote daughter. I never see Tinubu daughter. It is not coincidence. It is intentional, because you were never meant to see them. For wisdom Africa, wisdom Nigeria is the principal thing.